and a welcome in here, and we're excited to have you here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So we appreciate you being here, appreciate you hanging out with us, and definitely thank you for being a part of the show, and excited to have you here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So a lot of great stuff coming up. Mr. Mike Sofka is here with us. Mike, and obviously, as always, we appreciate you and everything that you bring to the table. How you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you, Dan?
Doing very well. And Mike Sofka here with us and bringing us his thoughts on the fantasy football world, which we always appreciate and thank him for all the time. And so a lot of good stuff that's coming up here with us, and a lot of good things that we have the opportunity to do. So happy to be here and happy to be hanging out and happy to, have another week of fantasy football. Always excited to be able to bring this to the people and definitely looking forward to it. So a lot of great fantasy football news. Mike, first and foremost, this has been an interesting week of football. What did you take away from week 3 as we get set here for week 4?
Josh Allen's really good. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. So I just, if you had Josh Allen, I don't need to tell you, you won. And if you were facing a team that had Josh Allen, you were like, really? So, the Browns looked okay. I thought the Ravens and the Lions had an exciting game. It appears to me the Ravens play up to their opponents' abilities and down to their opponents' abilities at times. So that game was a lot closer than I thought it should have been. The Chargers are really good. I like Justin Herbert. The Chargers seem to be a really good team. And, the Chiefs are in last place in the West in the AFC, which is crazy to think about. Pittsburgh looks bad. Ben looks like he's 155 years old and, dropping his early bird coupon on the ground, looking for it, falling over his own feet. I mean, I thought it's time, Pittsburgh, move on. But they don't have anybody else. They got Hobbs. They got Mason Rudolph. Jaguars, I mean, what an exciting play on the missed field goal, 109-yard return. I know you were there for the game. It must have been something else. Broncos shutting out. Teddy Bridgewater is not only a game manager, but he can put the ball in the air and he can make things happen. The Raiders something else. I don't know. Broncos shutting out. Teddy Bridgewater is not only a game manager, but he can put the ball in the air and he can make things happen. The Raiders something else. I don't know. Broncos shutting out. Teddy Bridgewater is not only a game manager, but he can put the ball in the air and he can make things happen. The Raiders something else. I don't know. Broncos shutting out. Teddy Bridgewater is not only a game manager, but he can put the ball in the air and he can make things happen. The Raiders something else. I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater not only a game manager, but he can put the ball in the air and he can make things happen. The Raiders over Teddy Bridgewater not only a game manager, but he can put the ball in the air and he can make things happen.
This Thursday night football opportunity as the Jacksonville Jaguars sets face off on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. Kind of an interesting story as we have Trevor Lawrence facing his former wide receiver. Trevor Lawrence of Clemson facing off against T. Higgins, who's going to be on the other side. And Joe Burrow throwing to T. Higgins very well over this season and some change. So he's got to face his former, he doesn't have to be on the other field at the same time, but he gets to see T. Higgins catch touchdowns potentially from Joe Burrow as opposed to doing it with him. What are your thoughts on Jacksonville and Cincinnati? The field at the same time, but
yeah, I want to root for Jacksonville. I want to get behind the young quarterback. I want to get behind Urban Meyer. I want to root for them. I want to say yes. I'm not that guy either. I don't really want to get deep, but I'm taking an interest in how this team looks like they're headed. For the personnel, but I'm not sure they're quite there yet. I can't put my finger on it. They can't seem to get it all together all the time. And with that in mind, Trevor Lawrence is not a guy I'm starting anywhere. I even had him as a backup quarterback. If I found another option or somebody else on the waiver wire, I'm dropping him. Until I see something, until he does something. So Trevor Lawrence 28 on my rankings this week. And Joe Burrow hasn't fared as well as I thought he would. I knew he was coming off the knee and everything, but still. So I got him at 22, and I think Jacksonville's defense, is not challenging either. So I don't believe Joe Burrow's a guy I'm going to start either at 22. And then I'm looking at the running backs, James Robinson. I got him at 17. And Joe Mixon, I think Joe Mixon's having they tried to get Dan Arnold in the mix right away, but I got CJ Uzma and Dan Arnold both ranked at 32 and 33 respectively. And I got to go with the Dan team on Thursday night. Again, I want to get behind the Jaguar team just to do it. It seems like it's going to be a fun team to follow, but just they're not there yet.
Yeah, the Jaguars, I mean, obviously they're struggling. I saw it firsthand, and I had the opportunity to speak with the team after the fact. Speak with head coach Urban Meyer as well as all the representatives because they're, due to COVID protocol and everything going on, their locker rooms are closed. So those one-on-one interviews at each locker are not happening right now, and so they send the guys in to us. Everybody they sent in the room, spoke with them all saying Delvin Cook or Jared Cook? Because if he's saying Delvin Cook, Mike, that changes things.
Well, yeah, it changes things, but I don't think it is based on what I know so far.
Yeah, so just make sure that you let us know who exactly it is when you send us these, so that we can, because some of these guys have the same last name.
Maybe he meant Russell Wilson because Russell cooks, right?
He's cooking, Rusty Buster. So, a lot of good stuff coming up here, and we appreciate it. So, Clap, if you can tell us who that is, we'll be happy to answer it. If it's Jared Cook, it's a hard no from Mike and I. If it's Delvin Cook, well, then we'll discuss that further with you. And Mike and I both going with the Bengals in this. Mike, next game up Sunday, Washington football team. It hurts me every time I have to say that name. Just pick a damn name. Washington football team at the Atlanta Falcons. Mike, next game up Sunday.
Yeah, if you'd have told me that, if I go back in time, you'd have told me that on this date, I would say Matt Ryan's the 25th ranked quarterback this week, and Taylor Heineke is my 13th ranked quarterback. I would have told you this is crazy, but Taylor Heineke, he had a bad first half in his last game, but he's athletic. I mean, a guy, I call him a kid because he's a kid to me, but he's still, he's 28, and here he is at Old Dominion, and I really had an appreciation for how athletic and how talented he can be, and hopefully with more playing time, hopefully this will be good for him and Washington, but that Washington defensive front has really let a lot of people down. They got a lot of big names on that defense. They should be playing better defense, and that's why Washington isn't doing well, I think. I mean, it's not Antonio Gibson's fault. He's number 7 on my ranking this week. And then, Mike Davis and Cordero Patterson are real close to each other at 16 and 20. And it's crazy. So if you have Cordero Patterson in those leagues where he can be eligible for a running back and wide receiver, that's always a bonus to have on your roster. It's crazy. So if you have Cordero Patterson in those Swiss leagues, Army knife sort of player, and he's out there. I saw him on waiver wires everywhere, so he's out there. So it might be a name, because I certainly thought Mike Davis was going to be performing a lot better at this point in the year, but we'll see. Looking at the wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, he's the best wide receiver on the field in this game, I think, and that's saying a lot because Calvin Ridley's supposed to be taking the field, but Calvin Ridley's at 19 on my rankings here. 19. If you had told me Calvin Ridley was going to be 3 position places past Terry McLaurin, I got Terry McLaurin at 16. I got Calvin Ridley at 19. Now, I think Kyle Pitts is getting a lot of those looks. Kyle Pitts at 7, and then Logan Thomas at 9. So there's some good tight end play in this one. But it's just crazy to me to think that I have these guys ranked where they are. But it's math at a certain point. I don't do it like, I think this guy. No, there's math behind my projections here. Sometimes it just, again, if I go in a Wayback Machine, I would have thought, no way. But I'm going to go with Washington at home. I think both teams aren't playing up to their level of expectation. I don't think either team is happy where they're at. But I'm going to take Washington on the road at Atlanta.
Yeah, this is a difficult, it's a difficult scenario because the Falcons, again, are a team that they're struggling. And, you ask yourself the question, with so much firepower, this is why I get annoyed with them. This is why I get frustrated with them. Are a team that this is why I have issue with this team, because they're supposed to be good on paper. They're supposed to have a lot of fantasy value, but they just can't seem to get it done. And it makes me wonder, at what point do they move forward from Matt Ryan? At what point do they say, this offense has a lot of talent, but it's just not getting there? So, that's where I stand. That's why I'm picking Washington in this game. I have to pick Washington in this game. I don't think I really have a choice in this one because the Falcons have been so undeniably bad. So, looking at Taylor Heineke, again, this is another quarterback like a Ryan Fitzpatrick that, comes into the league and there's probably not a lot of high expectation and they definitely exceed it. So Heineke, not a bad quarterback to have because he's playing Atlanta, whose offense is sputtering out and whose defense is not great either. So Heineke, I think he's a quarterback 2, a low-end 1. If you have an emergency situation, if you got a bunch of guys injured, if something went down, or you get to play 2 quarterbacks, then I would say play Taylor Heineke. He's not your number 1 overall, obviously, but he is somebody that is going to have a heyday potentially playing up against a team that doesn't have a lot to offer right now as far as stopping the ball. Antonio Gibson's worth the play. Terry McLaurin's worth the play. I like Logan Thomas in this game because he's playing Atlanta and he's talented, so a good place for him. Mike Davis has been underwhelming. I think he's a running back 4 in this. Calvin Ridley's a wide receiver 2. Kyle Pitts, I would say, is a tight end 2 in this as well. I'm going to lower these guys a little bit because of the fact that this offense hasn't gone anywhere. Olamide Zaccheaus might get some pub here as Russell Gage is questionable with an ankle injury. Olamide comes from Virginia, where I got to cover him just a couple of years ago. So Ridley and Pitts aren't worth necessarily keeping off, but they're not worth that starting spot that they had, and neither is Mike Davis. So the value's on Washington, and I'm going to give the nod to Washington in this matchup. Next game that we have up, Mike, is Houston at Buffalo. What do you have for red, white, and blue versus red, white, and blue?
Yeah, I got Josh Allen, number 1 overall quarterback this week versus Houston. I look for another big week from him. Hopefully it's not a big letdown, but I don't think so. He's been playing solid football for a while, and he had a great game. He's coming off that great game. And the best time to have another great game is when your confidence is real high like that, and you put up another great game. So Davis Mills, the opposite end of the spectrum, but that's simply because he just made his first start, and he's on a really bad team. Davis Mills, 32 this week on the rankings. I like Davis Mills a lot. I've got him in some dynasty leagues. I was able to snag him. You got to be a smart guy to go to Stanford. So I'm looking at the running backs here, and I got to look way down on a list. It's 32 and 33 for Zach Moss, 1 notch over Devin Singletary, who's supposed to be the starter there. So go figure. And then Mark Ingram at 43. So I'm not sure I see any value there, but looking at the wide receivers, it's kind of hard too. I like Cole Beasley. Cole makes a lot of plays out of the slot. I got him 32 on the rankings. Brandon Cooks, he's been the one bright spot at number 18, but that's because they have to throw the ball. Davis Mills is looking to get that relationship going with Cooks so they can continue to move forward. I'm not sure I see any value in this tight end. He's been the one bright spot. If there's a Buffalo Bill out there on the waiver wire and you got room, just go ahead and take him, even if it's Dawson Knox. I got Dawson Knox 16 on the rankings, but if you got a team that's favored by 17 points, they're probably going to put up some points. If you got a team with the number 1 quarterback, they're going to put up some points. So if there's a guy out there that plays for Buffalo in a skilled position, you just go ahead and put him on your roster, because you never know with these guys when these guys might take off. Again, I got Dawson Knox 16 on my rankings, and I'm going to go with the Bills to win this one big.
Yeah, I got the Bills winning this game as well. I mean, who doesn't? And, I think the Buffalo Bills, just a strong team, and what they've, what they're supposed to, like I said coming into the season, that I believe that the Buffalo Bills should be fighting inside of the AFC Championship game. I mean, that's where I think they should be this year, and I keep with that. Davis Mills, listen, I'm excited to see him. I'm excited, that he's out there coming out of Stanford, that he gets the opportunity to kind of see what he can do here. And so I like having him out there. But Houston looks like an expansion team. Back in 2002, they had a bunch of names that people may have known throughout the country, right? They had names that people knew, but they had never played together. You got a bunch of guys from the offensive line. It's like, oh, these guys are all good individually, but they had never played together, and it's about being cohesive. Well, that's how it feels now when you have the Mark Ingrams, the David Johnsons, the Phillip Lindsays, the Rex Burkheads, the Brandon Cooks, the Chris Conleys, the Danny Amendolas, the Anthony Millers. People know these players, and they're all together, but it's just not working. The value is in Mark Ingram. He's a running back 3. Brandon Cooks, he's a wide receiver, low end 1, high end 2. That's where I would say most of this, where you're going to get your assistance. I don't believe in David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay getting you a lot, or Rex Burkhead. Chris Conley, no. Danny Amendola, no. So really, you got a little bit of value with Mark Ingram and Brandon Cooks. On the other side of it, you got Josh Allen playing. You got Stephon Diggs playing. You got Emmanuel Sanders. I think he's a wide receiver 2. You got Gabriel Davis. He's a wide receiver 2. You got Cole Beasley. He's a flex. Dawson Knox, listen, first couple weeks of the season, man had tutties. So when you're getting touchdowns, and I'm coming in this season going, what's his worth in this offense, and he scores back-to-back, then I'm good with it. So play Dawson Knox in this one, I would say, as well, especially because they're playing Houston. And then Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, make him a running back 3, make him a flex for you. If you're going to play him, I would say this is the game to do it. I think Houston's going to definitely have a problem. I'm going with Buffalo in this matchup for sure. Next one that we have up, Mike, here is Detroit at Chicago. What do you have for that?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. I'm really interested to see how Detroit responds from that heartbreaking loss to the Ravens on the 66-yard field goal that hit the crossbar and then tumbled over the crossbar. It was incredible to see that, but they played really close to the Ravens. They actually at one point in the game, I was like, I think halfway through the game, I was like, Detroit's going to win this game, and sure enough, they took it right down to the wire. So you got to wonder, are they going to feel good about themselves, or are they going to have a big letdown because they were let down in that last game? Or this is going to be a hangover? I hope it's not, but this is going to be a tough game for them. But actually, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this game because I'm interested in that. I want to see how this young coach takes this team. I want to see what happens here. But I'm looking at the quarterbacks on both sides here. I'm not excited about Jared Goff at 27 on my rankings. And Justin Fields has been just abysmal. In one of the dynasty leagues I'm in, I saw he has negative points. He's not there yet. I see the talent, I see the athleticism, I see the big playmaking abilities, but for fantasy, I'm not counting on that guy at 19 on the rankings this week. Looking at the running back situation, I have David Montgomery at 15 and DeAndre Swift at number 8. I didn't think DeAndre Swift was going to be able to keep himself as a running back one all year long so far. I really thought there was going to be ups and downs already. I know he's been dinged up, but he's been doing it, and he's number 8 on my rankings this week. And looking at the wide receivers, this is where it gets a little bit tight. This is where it gets difficult. I mean, I got Allen Robinson at 25, but then I got to go to the 60s on my rankings to find Quintez Cephas. So that should tell you something about the passing game there. And then the one tight end that I know we can count on in this game is number 4 this week in TJ Hawkinson. And again, this is going to be an interesting game for all the wrong reasons, but this is going to be a point in the year that's important for both teams. I mean, the Bears are 1-2. The Lions are 0-3. I hope they're not going to give up on you. You know what? I'm excited. I think the Lions are going to keep it close, but I think the Bears are going to win at home.
Yeah, I think this Lions team, you would like to think the way that they pushed Baltimore, that they'll be able to push in this game as well. But the issue that I've found with this Detroit Lions team, it doesn't really matter who their coach has been lately. It doesn't really matter who their quarterback has been. It doesn't really matter their personnel. They seem to be a team that just consistently is inconsistent. And if they have a good game against a good team, they play up for a team, play down for another. So, and I know that, Syracuse has done that a lot. So I know that all too well. And looking at this Detroit team here, fantasy football-wise, I'm not sold on Jared Goff. DeAndre Swift, listen, I'm not a fan of Jamal Williams when it comes to fantasy. So I like DeAndre Swift in this game. He is playing Chicago, so I call him a running back, too, in the matchup. And then, Quintez Cephas, Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Trinity Benson, none of these guys are household names. They got rid of all the guys that were. Marvin Jones, who I just interviewed with Jacksonville, don't know why they got rid of him. Golden Tate, who they let go to the Giants, I don't know why. Kenny Galladay, who they let go to the Giants, I don't know why. So, I understand Kenny was not always healthy, but they had a nice 3 wide receiver core, and they slowly but surely got rid of them all over a couple of years. TJ Hawkinson, I would say, the way I look at TJ right now, he's got some value, but I still wouldn't put him out there. Really, it's DeAndre Swift or bust for Detroit when it comes to fantasy football. And then Chicago, you got Andy Dalton banged up, Justin Fields banged up, Nick Foles is ready to go. And so the question is, who is it going to be? Justin Fields has a hand injury. Luckily, you don't need that for a quarterback. And Andy Dalton has a knee injury, and you don't have to stand for a quarterback as well. So, it looks like it could be Nick Foles in this one, all jokes aside. David Montgomery, I think, is worth the play in this matchup. I'd have him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at running back. Allen Robinson is, of course, worth it. Cole Kmet, I would say, is a low-end 1, high-end 2 at tight end because they're playing Detroit. The more value is on Chicago, and I'm going to give the victory to the Chicago Bears. Next one up, before we take a fast break, Carolina at Dallas. Carolina is 3-0, and them Cowboys are coming off a Monday night spanking of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I want to make note here that if the Philadelphia Eagles had won, everybody would be calling them cowgirls and putting up putting up, racy photos and rude photos and just kind of ridiculous stuff and GIFs and memes and all that. When the Cowboys win, they go, hey, Cowboys, settle down. Hey, let's not get so excited. Hey, it's only 3 games into the season. Hey, if it was Philadelphia, y'all would be talking. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Cowboys fans, celebrate. Enjoy it. It's an NFC East rivalry game. It's against Philadelphia, and Lord knows that they would have been trying to humiliate you on Tuesday morning if you had lost. So I say Cowboys fans, enjoy it, have fun, but you got Carolina coming into town, and Sam Darnold's trying to make this Panthers team the truth. What do you have for Carolina at Dallas?
Yeah, Dallas did look really good. Looked like they had it together. And the reason for the difference, if they had lost the game, well, it's real simple. You go from they would have been 1-1, and things look a lot different when you're up on that higher branch in the rankings there. Dak is Dallas. Dallas is Dak, and Dak distributed the ball well. I got Dak ranked at number 9 this week. I got Sam Darnold a little further down at 23. And looking at the running backs, Cypress Hill put out a song back, rock superstar. You want to be a rock superstar. And one of the lyrics is, there's going to be another guy coming up behind you, look like you, act like you, and he's going to take your place. And that's what Ezekiel Elliott is feeling right now. There was 1 or 2 plays where they were getting ready to send Tony Pollard in the game, and he's waving him off, pushing him back. So Zeke is feeling the pressure, and it's not the same. He doesn't look the same. Is it the offensive line? Is it Zeke? I don't know, but I got Zeke at 21, and I got Chuba Hubbard, the rookie, on the other side because CMC went down. He's the pickup of the week. If you haven't picked him up off waivers already, you better go see if he's available, because we don't know how, as we record this, we don't know how long CMC is going to be down for, but I don't think we're going to see him for a couple weeks here. So I got Chuba Hubbard at 12. So think about this. I got Chuba Hubbard at 12, and I got Zeke at 21. Again, put me in a Wayback Machine. No way that's going to happen, right? I look at the receivers here, and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper they're a great combination. Of the combination receivers in the league, I like CeeDee Lamb. He's explosive. He's like a running back with at the wide receiver position. And Amari Cooper, he's a great wide receiver as well. I got CeeDee Lamb at 11. I got Amari Cooper at 15. DJ Moore has been a great shining spot for Sam Darnold there. He's 6 on the ranking this week. And looking at the tight ends, I really don't see any value here. Yeah, Dalton Schultz put up a couple touchdowns, but is that going to be every week? And, if you have a deep league, large bench, or 16 or 20 team, see if Tommy Tremble's out there, because obviously with Dan Arnold moving on to Jacksonville, this is going to be an opportunity. I thought it was going to be Ian Thomas, but Tommy Tremble, the young rookie, that's the guy you want to go with. Looking at this game here, Dallas is just too hot right now. The game is in Dallas. I know the Panthers are 3-0, but I'm going to go with Dallas at home.
This could be one of the games of the week, and this could have implications down the road. I think people need to understand that. This game could really affect these teams when it comes down to playoff time, as to what's going to happen and what's going down. So I'm excited to watch this game. I'm excited to see what's coming up here with these Dallas Cowboys as well as the Carolina Panthers. A lot of value here. I picked up Chuba Hubbard as my Mr. Irrelevant in 2 or 3 of my leagues. I drafted him because I didn't want to be in this situation, like I said, with CMC coming back and having the type of injury that he had, and with his knee and everything going on. I thought to myself, hey, if he's not 100%, if he goes down, or if just for sheer reality of the fact that they don't want to make him do a lot, because, or not having, if he's going to take 25 carries a game, now he's going to take 22, or he's going to take 18, because they want to make sure that they're not doing too much as he comes back, that Chuba's going to get involved, that Chuba's going to get an opportunity. So, I thought somehow, some way, goal line, 3rd down, or just because they're trying to get CMC back comfortable again to make sure his body's all right, that Chuba was going to get opportunities. So I have him. I don't have to go grab him. I got him on the team. 2 steps forward instead of 1 step behind. So Chuba, obviously go and get Mr. Hubbard because that man he's going to go to some work, and now he's playing the Dallas Cowboys, and DeMarcus Lawrence is out with an injury. But Chuba Hubbard, I like him as a sneaky guy to put on there. If you could put 3 or 4 running backs out there, he can easily be your 30 or 4, I would think, this week. Maybe a low end 2. DJ Moore, I think he's like a wide receiver 3 at this point. I like Robbie Anderson more as a wide receiver 2. Ian Thomas, not really sold on. I would say he's a low end 1, high end 2. Sam Darnold, not a bad play, but I don't think this is his week. I like Dak on the other side of it, though, to play in this game. I like Zeke to play in this game. Tony Pollard, yet another guy that was brought into the NFL coming through Mike Norvell and Mike Norvell's system, Mike Norvell's offense at Memphis. Florida State fans, stop going nuts. Florida State fans, stop demanding a national championship right now. Florida State fans, stop trying to fire this guy. Look it to the NFL. If you want to know who Mike Norvell is, look at the rosters of the NFL. Hey, you know what? Go one step further. Don't look at the roster. Look at the starters. Look at the guys that are out there. Look at one of the 11 or 2 of the 11 that are out there on the field. One of them being Tony Pollard. One of them trying to oust Ezekiel Elliott, who was supposed to be the golden boy of the Dallas Cowboys. So when you want to question Mike Norvell, why don't you look at his track record and his resume and understand that Florida State's had a lot of problems that happened way before Mike got there, and it's not Mike's fault. And Mike puts guys in the NFL. So if you want to win, and you want to win consistently, and you want to send guys to the NFL, maybe you should leave Mike Norvell alone. That was my side. Now I'm back. Tony Pollard, worth the play. Zeke Elliott, hard to keep off, but he's a running back too for me. I like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. If you got either one of them or both, play him. Dalton Schultz, listen, I was waiting for this guy to wake up. Dallas tried to get Dallas Goedert so Dallas could have Dallas. Philadelphia traded one spot above them to steal it away, and they ended up with Dalton Schultz instead, and it seemingly is paying off as he was able to score on Monday night as well. So I like Dalton, I like Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke, Tony Pollard, Tony on the rise, Zeke on the little bit of the fall here, and Dak Prescott. I got to go with the Cowboys, although I really do like what the Panthers are doing. I don't want them to lose this game, in the sense of I like the undefeated story for them, but at the same time, I think it's going to be Dallas's to take. Indianapolis at Miami. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, Indianapolis is 0-3 here. The Dolphins are 1-2. 2 is hurt. Carson Wentz is on 2 busted ankles, and he rolled out there this past week. So, it's going to be interesting to see what we get. I hope it's not a sloppy game. I hope it's not a interception, fumble game. You kind of hope for those things. I'm not going to watch this game. That's what I'm trying to say. But I am going to watch it on the red zone maybe. Looking at Indianapolis, I just feel bad for Carson Wentz. And I see what Carson Wentz is thinking. I don't want to come off the field. Why off the field when you can tape me up, shoot me up, pop me down, jack me up, whatever field? He's got 2 busted ankles and he's rolling out there. Do you know why? You can ask Drew Bledsoe why, because that's where Tom Brady took over. You can't let your spot get taken on the field anytime. If you can physically get out there, you get out there, and that's what Carson Wentz is doing. But he's hobbled. He's 26 on the rankings this week, and I got Jacoby Brissett ranked above him because, Carson Wentz hasn't been playing well. I'm trying to give Carson Wentz the benefit of the doubt here. It's just I'm running out of time. Jacoby Brissett at 20 on the. He looks like the number 1 running back option there, but I do like Malcolm Brown. Looks strong. Myles Gaskin, 25 on the rankings here. And Indianapolis has the benefit of a Jonathan Taylor. I mean, they're going to trade Marlon Mack, who's healthy now, but supposedly mutual agreement because, Jonathan Taylor's not going to come off the field. Again, he's number 13 on the rankings. And looking at the wide receivers here, looking at, of course, Michael Pittman is the big name, and Zach Pascal has been stepping up. Michael Pittman at 35 and Zach Pascal at 51 on the rankings. And the best wide receiver, I think, on the field is a young rookie. Yeah, he may not, pop off the screen to everybody right away, but I like Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, the highest ranked receiver in this game, 33. Looking at the tight end, I got Mike Gesicki at number 12, and I can't put tight end because I don't know, is it going to be Jack Doyle? I got Jack Doyle at 24. Usually if a guy's 24 in my tight end ranking, he's not seeing the field for me. So I'm going to go with Miami at home in a game that I think that again, I'm probably not going to watch, but I'll follow it on the Red Zone.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I got to go with the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to tell you why. And I bring this up a lot when this stuff happens because if you look through history, it showcases itself a lot, and you definitely see it in the NFL. When a player has to play against their former team, a team that let them go, a team that didn't feel like they were necessary to keep, a team that gave the starting job to somebody else, and that starter's not really working out, and you can kind of sit there and smirk and go, well, maybe you should have kept me. And that's Jacoby Brissett, who's looking back at the Colts saying, hey, you went out and got Carson Wentz, and he's been injured and injured and injured and injured and injured and injured, but you thought he was better than me. So you know what? I'm going to remind you who I am. Now, mind you, Jacoby Brissett almost beat the Raiders. Almost beat those Raiders by throwing his body out there and getting into the end zone recently in this past week. So who do I like on the side of the Colts? I'll make it easy for you. Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman, a wide receiver 2, and maybe on the lower end, and Jonathan Taylor worth starting. On Miami, Jacoby Brissett is a quarterback 2 this week, but again, remember, he's playing his former team, so he might have the game of his life in this. I want you to remember I said that. Myles Gaskin is worth the play. Jalen Waddle is worth the play. Will Fuller V, now back here, he's worth a flex for you. And Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe, and Adam Shaheen, who's going to get the ball. And here's the thing. The Jaguars do not have a tight end they trust. And Miami, just a few hours south in the same state, they have multiple guys, including Hunter Long that I covered in college. So maybe the Jaguars should have made that phone call. But, for me, I think it's in Jalen Waddle, Fuller, Myles Gaskin, and potentially Mike Gesicki. I'm going to go with the Dolphins at home. Mike and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break. If you have questions on your specific team, on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT as well. You can write into us there. And, of course, you can listen to the MixLR feed live on our website, WakeUpCallDT.com. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around, Mike and I will have plenty more to say inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I am ecstatic for you to be here as we are inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour extended version. Always happy to be here with you. Proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, where you're watching all the games, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Open 7 days a week for indoor dining and available for takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222. Mike and I back right after this fast break.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you where sports meets that thing called life. You're also watching and listening on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and facebook.com/livenowdt, all inside the Cafe Cubal studios. It's National Coffee Day, so make sure you get out to Cafe Cubal today. But I don't have to tell you that. Every day is National Coffee, Chai Tea, regular tea, all types of awesome favorites at Cafe Cubal. Every day in Central and Upstate New York is Cafe Cubal Day. So make sure you celebrate National Coffee Day today, but understand that all throughout the week, Cafe Cubal appreciates you so very much. On 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and of course, their locations that you will also find out in Manlius at 343 Fayette Street and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road for the Sweetheart Corner location in North Syracuse, and that location being their first ever drive-thru, so make sure you check that out today. With that being said, Mike and I are bouncing into our next game here inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, and we have Cleveland at Minnesota. Mike, what do you have for this?
Yeah, this is a game I definitely want to watch. This is a game has some talented players in it. Just starting out at the quarterback. Baker Mayfield, he's in the middle of the pack almost at 17, and Mr. Mendoza line himself, Kirk Cousins, is at 14. These guys are ball distributors. These guys have talent all around them. Their job is to get the ball to them, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they've been doing somewhat effectively. Although the Browns 2-1 and the Vikings 1-2, I think this is going to be a really close and exciting game. Should be back again. Alexander Madison for over 100 yards. Dalvin Cook likes his, and I'm sure he's not losing his around them. Their job is to get the ball to them, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they this past week. Looking at Cleveland, they got two guys that could be either one could be the starter on any other team. Talking about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt at 19 and 23 respectively on my rankings. And the wide receivers, Jarvis Landry's going out, and here comes his old college buddy Odell back. So they're not really losing much. I got Odell at 53 this week, and the Minnesota receivers are just better, and I think they're among the best 1-2 punch. I got Adam Thielen at 14. I got Justin Jefferson at number 4. Again, I'm hot on Justin Jefferson all year. I think he's going to end up being a top 5 receiver. Looking at the tight ends, neither team really has that guy. Oh, I got to have that guy. If there is one guy you're going to play at the tight end position here, it's Austin Hooper at 13. Tyler Conklin coming on strong at 15 lately. This is going to be a really close game, but I'm going to take Cleveland.
Mike, you cut out for a second. You said you're going to take Cleveland? Mike, you said you're going to take Cleveland here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we lost Mike here for a second. We're going to bring Mike back into the broadcast here as we lost him here for a moment. Mike taking the Cleveland Browns in this matchup on the road at Minnesota. So it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out. But Mike going with the Cleveland Browns in this matchup. For me, it's funny how we tell you to play the skill guys, but these quarterbacks, you kind of get a little iffy with Baker and Kirk in this matchup. I think the score is going to be pretty high, though, maybe in the 30s here. So I don't think I don't think he's a bad bet. A low-end quarterback one. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, the best 1-2 punch in fantasy when it comes to running backs because they both eat and they don't take away from each other. Like one of them gets it, then the other one gets it. So I love it. We got another question coming in from Josh. We'll get to your question in just a second, Josh, so hold there for us. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Odell, So, I mean, I'm not sold on it. I'd say wide receiver 3. Austin Hooper and David Njoku. I mean, Hooper at this point scored his first touchdown. David Njoku led the tight ends in snaps. So that's a tough one. I'd probably stay away from that. I like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Baker Mayfield is a low-end quarterback 1. Low-end quarterback 1 as well for Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. If Delvin Cook is going to be out of this thing, he's questionable with an ankle injury, then Alexander Madison is worth the start. Some of you drafted him. He's a guy that probably is still out there, so he's someone to go and pick up and snatch up here at Grab and Stash. Mike and I have talked about him before. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, both worth the play. I agree with Mike completely on that. So, the best value that you have is with wide receiver on Minnesota's side with Thielen and Jefferson, and then running back is with Hunt on the other side, Hunt and Chubb. And then the quarterbacks are kind of even in this one. I like this game a lot. I'm excited about this game. And this one's a hard one for me to pick, but I'm going to agree with Mike, and I'm going to pick the Browns on the road. But this has got a lot of fantasy value. A question that came in from Josh. Do I trade Cooper? And again, please make sure that you tell us who these are, because I don't know if you're saying Cooper Kupp or if you're saying Amari Cooper. So Josh, just let us know this, and we'll answer the question once we know. Just so it's clear, because we don't want to give you advice and have it not be the player. So it says, do I trade Cooper and Taylor for Aaron Jones and Odell? So let us know, is that Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor? Because if it is Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor, or Amari Cooper and Jonathan Taylor. So let us know that, and then Mike and I will answer the question. Just clarify who it is here. So Josh said it's Amari. I'll give some background on my team. I have Diggs, Tyler Lockett, Williams, and A.J. Brown, and Jonathan Taylor. So he's asking, does he trade Amari Cooper and Jonathan Taylor for Aaron Jones and Odell Beckham Jr.? Mike, I'll defer to you first.
No, I like Aaron Jones, but I don't like Odell. I'm not confident on Odell. Now, my tune may change after this week. We'll see what he's got coming back. But right now, you'd be giving away more in value than you'd be getting in return. It sounds like you got a solid team. Sounds like you're.
And so
I would keep what I have.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Just wrote back to you, Josh, here. We would say no on this trade because Amari Cooper and Jonathan Taylor right now have value. Jonathan Taylor, listen, no matter what happens to Carson Wentz, now I understand that they could stack the box, but no matter what happens to Carson Wentz and what happens to the passing game of the Colts, when a team is losing, when a team needs help, when a team is struggling, they go to the run game. Look at the Jaguars last year. Undrafted rookie out of Illinois State. Everything looked bad with the Jaguars on a 1-15 season except for James Robinson. So Jonathan Taylor could be in a situation like that. So definitely continue to use him, keep him, and giving up Amari Cooper, him and CeeDee Lamb are interchangeable at number 1 for Dallas right now. So I agree with Mike. You'd be giving up more than you're getting. Don't give up 2 starters for a guy in Aaron Jones who's a starter and a guy in Odell who could get injured next week, could be obsolete next week. Odell is not an every week guy. Jonathan Taylor and Amari Cooper have that to be every week guys. So don't give up every week guys for an every week guy and a maybe sometimes who knows guy. If you're going to trade it, make sure it's equal value or better. And right now you're giving up more than you're getting. So I'm going to say no on that as well. New York Giants at the New Orleans Saints, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game with some quarterbacks that, I don't know about. Daniel Jones, I want to like him. I want to say yes. I even picked him up in a couple leagues last week to start him. And I thought he'd have a bigger week. I'm not sure about the Giants. I don't think they can block. I think that's why Saquon's on a downturn too. So Giants 0-3. Giants got trouble. And Jameis Winston on the other side is not a better quarterback. He just has a better team around him and a better coach, I think. They're at 2-1, and this game's in New Orleans. But if you looked at Jameis Winston again, he made bad decisions in that game. And you know what? he made a bad decision that ended up being a touchdown when he was getting sacked, and he pulled that, I'm going to lob this ball out. And you don't make that throw there. You save it. You save it for another day. You get your team in field goal position or whatever. But looking at that throw, I know Sean Payton gave him an earful, even though it turned out to be a touchdown. It's just, you can't just throw the ball up there like that. It worked out that time, though. The Giants, I got Daniel Jones at 16, and I got Jameis Winston at 24 this week. Looking at the running backs, again, Saquon's on the downturn here, but I think it's the offensive line. He's at 18, and meanwhile, Alvin Kamara, well, they got a pretty good offensive line in New Orleans. At least Alvin Kamara is making hay while the sun shines. He's number 2 on the running back rankings this week. And looking at the wide receivers, I got to go way down on the list to find people. So when I got to go way down the list to find people, that's not a good thing. I got Sterling Shepard. We talked about him early in the show. I got him at 29, maybe a Marquez Callaway in the 50s. I just don't know who's going to show up. I don't know how bad either one of these guys are going to throw the ball. I'm talking about the quarterback. So that takes the wide receivers out of the game, essentially. Looking at the tight ends, I got Evan Ingram at 17 reluctantly. I don't know. I got to go a lot further down to a Juwan Johnson, a converted wide receiver at the tight end position, but he's at 25. So I'm not sure I'm playing a lot of people in this game, and there might be some bad quarterback play, but sometimes that ends up the most interesting. And I'd be willing to bet. If there was, I don't know what the line is. I'm sure you can bet this, but I would bet that Jameis is going to throw a pick 6 in this game. And I don't think the Giants' defense is that good. So that ought to tell you how I feel about the game. But I am going to take New Orleans at home because I think they got a better player, a better team around, and then you got the better coach as well. So they're at home. So I'm taking New Orleans.
I mean, Mike, you could have just made it easy and said that the Giants couldn't even win on the day that they honor the guy who won 2 Super Bowls for him in Eli Manning. And they were playing the Falcons. So, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're lower than the Falcons, it's kind of like back in the day when if you lost to Temple, you were at the bottom of college football. If you lose to the Falcons right now, you're at the bottom. So Josh said he's got another trade for us that he wants to send to us, so you can send it forward, Josh. But, Mike, I am also going to go with the Saints because of the fact that the Giants are the Giants. So it's on them. Josh, we'll get to your question here in just a moment here, and we appreciate it. I can't trust in Daniel Jones, who I covered in college at Duke. Listen, I respect him. I appreciate his time. I love his coach and David Cutcliffe, but I'm just not seeing it work out. And as much as I want Daniel Jones to be successful, it hasn't happened. Saquon Barkley is a running back too, because this team, I mean, listen, when your wide receivers aren't doing it, your passing game isn't doing it, when the team isn't doing it, when your defense isn't working, and your offensive line this, and your wide receivers that, and your quarterback this, and it's all on Saquon, I told you, I said it and I'll say it again. Saquon Barkley, after his rookie contract, is going to go somewhere else. Because he's not going to want to spend any more time here. He's not going to want to have to put his body on the line for a team that's not going to win, that's never going to get him to a Super Bowl, that's never going to give him an opportunity. He's not going to stay here if this is what the Giants are giving him. And this is what it looks like they're giving him. And so I would imagine Saquon Barkley will only be a Giant through his rookie contract. That's my belief on this. Is he worth the play here? It's hard to keep him off. I call him a running back too because this is just a horrible situation for him. There's really no value. Now, Papa Joe said yesterday on the show that Jameis Winston might look good to start the season and had, I think, 5 touchdowns in the first week, and no interceptions. But understand that it's coming, and Mike just echoed that sentiment, not even knowing PJ said it, and said, listen, I would expect a pick 6 because, that's just, it's eventually, both of you believe that's coming for Jameis Winston. I like the fact that in the wake-up call fantasy football leagues for Central New York that are at the Wildcat, down here in Florida that's at Hooters, and our Marywood Alumni League, that we use a team quarterback. Because in the situation of the Saints, this is a very valuable thing. Because if you had Jameis or you had Taysom, the value wouldn't be as high. It'd be below Kirk Cousins. It'd be below maybe a Teddy Bridgewater if he keeps trending up. Below a Sam Darnold if he keeps trending up. Well, because you get 2 of them, if one gets 1 touchdown, one rushes this, one throws that, you get all of it. And that's the benefit of having team quarterback, and that's why we've always had it in the wake-up call fantasy leagues. So if you have a team quarterback in fantasy, the Saints are worth the play this week. If you don't, then I'd be a little bit concerned. I like Taysom Hill more than Jameis Winston this week. Alvin Kamara is worth the play. Tony Jones is worth the flex. Marquez Callaway, I would say, is worth a wide receiver 3 look. And Jawan Johnson, I want to say to play him here, but he's had big roles, small roles. Adam Trotman wasn't used a lot either, so it's hard to tell you which tight end. But I'd say if you're going to play either one of them, Jawan Johnson would be the one I would play. I'm putting the value on the Saints, and I'm giving them the dub. So same league, Josh's question to us, should I trade Amari Cooper? And I'm guessing this is David Montgomery, Josh. You said Montgomery here, so I'm guessing that's who it is. So it says trade Amari Cooper and David Montgomery for Devontae Adams and Chase Edmonds. What are your thoughts on this one, Mike?
Yeah, I think that might be an improvement. I mean, Devontae Adams, I think he's the sole wide receiver basically in Green Bay. So I would think that would be an upgrade there. I think the running backs are almost a wash. It seems like you're itching to get rid of Cooper, and I don't understand that. But I think if I had a choice, if I could take Devontae Adams over Cooper, I would do it.
Yeah, this is a better trade. As far as what you're getting, Josh, I just went to the Jaguars game and covered the game against the Cardinals, and James Conner got the carries. He got the 2 touchdowns, and Chase Edmonds was a no-show for me. I mean, I barely heard his name over the loudspeaker. So, I think for you to trade for this, even this is a better trade, but I would still maybe wait. I know you're frustrated. You want a different running back. You don't like some of the guys that are coming out there. You want a trusted guy. Trading for Chase Edmonds when James Conner is the one that just got the opportunities to go across the goal line, it's not smart. Now, Devontae Adams straight up for Amari Cooper, that could be really good for you. But remember, Dak Prescott seems to like where he is. Aaron Rodgers doesn't. So I don't think that. I think it behooves you more to stay with what you got in that respect. And as much as you might be itching to trade, don't trade for the sake of trading. Don't, like as I wrote to you before here, don't trade out of frustration. Don't take the emotions you have right now. Take the frustration you have right now. You're 3 weeks in. Take a step back and realize that people will play on emotion. So just be smart on that. He said it's just tonight choosing between Cooper, Lockett, A.J. Brown will be tough all season. Yeah. Well, you know what?
A.J. Brown's hurt.
Well, and here's the thing, too. It'll be tough all season, yes. But would you rather have it be tough for you to decide who's on my bench and who's my starter, or to lose those guys and have to play against them? I would rather have to look at my team and go, dang it, I drafted so many great wide receivers, I don't know who to play, as opposed to let me give it to somebody else so I can bring in someone else and put myself in a bad situation.
Well, see, that's a big problem in fantasy football for a lot of fantasy owners. They don't start well. They don't draft well. I have a draft system that I use, so I don't trade a lot. I don't have to trade a lot. I kill the draft. I use a certain system. Dan's use the same system. I know a lot of people that we've talked with and are in leagues with use the same system, the same cheat sheet and everything. So a lot of times, if you start out of the blocks with a great team, you're not going to have to make trades unless you have an injury. Something. So that's the biggest challenge for most people. If you get your draft right, you're probably not going to need to have too many trades. But a lot of people, that's what fantasy football is for them, trading. And I'm just not that guy. I'd rather draft well, maybe make a trade due to an injury or something and win the league that way. I'd rather draft well, come out strong, I'm a runner in track. I want to get out in front. I want to stay out in front, and I'm going to be this winner's defendant. That's what I like to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like you said, Mike, I mean, I was looking at my team a couple weeks ago, and I was going to set my rosters, and I looked at it, and I was like, I like my whole team. I don't want to – I think of like the 6 teams that I run, I think I moved 1 or 2 guys from bench to starter or vice versa. And because I liked it. I was like, wow, I got these guys on my bench, but I liked my starters so much that I'm like, I don't want to change it. So, Josh, you drafted well. So now every week you got to fight with yourself. But you know what? That's better than fighting against somebody else. Because if you give up one of these players, you have to face them. If they're on your bench, this is what I did last year. I had Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And somebody said, you're an idiot. Why would you have 60 points on the bench and 60 points as a starter? I said, because I don't have to face that 60. So yeah, me deciding who's going to have 52 and who's going to have 51 this week is a lot better than me going, holy crap, I got to beat 51 this week. I got to beat 60 this week. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to some people to have Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, but to me it makes perfect sense. If I got Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, then I'm good because I don't have to face either one of them. So I understand it frustrates you, but understand that you don't have to play against those points and you don't have to find a way to beat it. If it's on your bench, it's better on your bench. You got to be smart in who you start from week to week, and that's why you listen to us. But it's better to have them than to play against them. So don't trade for the sake of trading. Take your guys and enjoy your guys. So enjoy that. And thank you to your kind words, Josh, and what you just said to us. You guys are making great points. So yeah, I know you got the itch to trade, but what do they say about when you have a mosquito bite, you're not supposed to itch it. So put some water on it and move on. Tennessee at the Jets, Mike. What do you got?
Yeah, the Jets are a bad team. This is going to be the Derrick Henry game. Derrick Henry, number one overall player this week, number one on the rankings. But let me get to the quarterbacks here. Zach Wilson, he's on the learning curve, and I can't start this cat. If you're in a dynasty or keeper league, maybe he's on your team, but he's not even on your roster if you're playing in a redraft league. And then, looking at Ryan Tannehill, I expect him to be playing a little bit better, but I got him at 21 this week because, again, math is math. It's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown is probably going to be down for count. Whenever a guy's week to week, that doesn't mean he might play this Sunday. That means after this week, we're going to see how he's going to be for the following week. Day to day is not the same thing as week to week, and right now he's week to week. So you're thinking Julio Jones may step up, but I'm not sure they're going to need him. I think it's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry. On the other side of the ball, running the ball, I got to go with the guy with the most upside, but it's a muddled mess over there. I would have to take Michael Carter maybe if I was desperate for a fourth running back or second flex or something. He's 37 on the rankings. Wide receiver, a little bit. He hasn't been getting it done really, but I think A.J. Brown being out is going to be a good thing for him and his fantasy numbers. I got him at 38 on the rankings, though I need to see more of a connection from Tannehill to Julio Jones. I don't think I've really seen that. This might be the game to see it against the Jets. This might be the game we see that. And then looking at the tight end situation, I can't really start anybody at the tight end position in this game, so I'm not even going to worry about it. And I'm going to take the Titans. They got the better players. Jets. I don't care if it's in New York. They're playing the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand who would pick the Jets at any point in time. So I don't get it. I just don't understand it. The Jets, as I said in the past, are more of a Broadway show than they are anything else, and that's just where they are. The Titans are a team trying to win a division. The Jets are a team that, are trying to host a Kardashian show on their field. I have no idea what they're trying to do. It just doesn't seem like a football team. So Mike and I are saying Titans in this game, and I'm gonna, obviously the value is in Ryan Tannehill in this game because he's playing the Jets. Mike and I projected him in the rankings as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. His numbers proved as much, so I like him there. I also like Derrick Henry in this game, obviously, and Julio Jones as a wide receiver 3. And then outside of that, really nothing at tight end. For the Jets, it's a whole lot of nothing. You look at Michael Carter, maybe is getting more and more here. Maybe he can start to shift here, but I don't see any value with the Jets. I'm going to make this easy. Put the value on the Titans. Let this be a record day for Derrick Henry, because I got him in a bunch of my teams, and Lord knows I want my baby to get me 200 yards on the ground. So let's keep it going here. I'm picking the Titans, obviously, in this matchup. And then Josh asked us, should he start Amari or Lockett this week, Montgomery or Carson? So Amari Cooper or Tyler Lockett, David Montgomery or Chris Carson? What do you say, Mike?
Chris Carson, definitely. And I got Amari Cooper at 15, and I got Tyler Lockett at 9. So just the projections I have showed Tyler Lockett being the answer. If there's a way you could play both in a flex or something, that might behoove you as well, especially if it's PPR.
Yeah, if you can play Cooper and Lockett, then play Cooper and Lockett. I mean, I would like to think you're in a place where you could shift some things around. So if you can, play them both. And definitely Chris Carson over David Montgomery. I would agree with Mike on that. Mike, next game that we have, Kansas City at Philadelphia. What do you got? Kansas City reeling. They're 1-2. They're at the bottom of the AFC West, believe it or not. And we talked about contenders and pretenders. The AFC West has some potential contenders that are not named the Chiefs. What's your take on this as they play Philadelphia, who just lost by 20? And Mike wanted to say really quick here, he has Diggs and Mike Williams in. I would say take Mike Williams out, play Diggs, Lockett, and Amari. What would you say, Mike?
Yes, absolutely.
So there we go. Mike and I are in agreement. So, Josh, there you go. Here are your starters for this week. Lockett, Diggs, and Amari Cooper. And I don't know who the hell you drafted with, but obviously they weren't paying attention.
Hold on 1 second. Let me check that because I'll just double check my rankings here.
Yeah,
and I actually have Mike Williams at 12 and Amari Cooper at 15. So I need to change that. I apologize. I double checked myself here, and it is Mike Williams would get the nod over Amari Cooper.
Okay, so Mike is saying Williams, Lockett, and Diggs. I am saying Diggs, Lockett, and Cooper. So we both have Diggs and Lockett. I think Cooper. Mike thinks Williams. And so make sure.
Yeah, it's close. It's close.
So, and then, yeah, there we go. So you got a lot of good stuff here. And next game that we have at Mike, Kansas City at Philadelphia. Kansas City trying to make it happen, coming off of a 1-2 start. Philadelphia coming off a 20-point loss on the road with the Dallas Cowboys. What do you have for this?
Yeah, I look at these two teams at both 1-2, and I think, wow, they both have bad offensive lines. I mean, it seems to be the common theme. Teams that aren't doing well have bad offensive lines. You can't have a bad offensive line. The Chiefs rebuilt their line. The Eagles can't block effectively for Miles Sanders, but the quarterbacks are going to be able to stay upright more so, even though they have bad offensive line, because both of these quarterbacks can scramble. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. I have Pat Mahomes number 2 this week. I have Jalen Hurts number 5. So I look for a lot of good quarterback play here, some fantasy points at least. You know, if it's funny, somebody made the comment the other day, if they were watching a Philadelphia Eagles game versus Dallas with someone else, somebody who didn't know football very well, and be all excited about Jalen Hurts losing by 20 on the road at Dallas. Jalen had a better – it's hard to explain fantasy football in that fashion to some people. So I don't think that the Philly's going to win this game, but I do think that they have some fantasy players that are going to shine. Jalen Hurts is one of them. I have to go down a little further on the list because this is where the offensive line really comes into play here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 24, and Miles Sanders a few ticks up at 14, just outside that RB1 status there. Looking at the wide receivers, I got to go Tyreek Hill. Everybody knows that. Number 3 on the rankings. And I got to go down a little bit further on my rankings. I'm rolling down. There's Devontae Smith at 30. Rolling down. There's Jalen Reagor at 49. So I'm not real excited about that situation there. But looking at the tight ends, of course, Travis Kelce, number 1 tight end in football. Travis Kelce's a no-brainer there. Philadelphia, not so much. Zach Ertz is supposed to be back, and then how's that affecting Dallas Goedert? I just don't think that Jalen Hurts is able to get that 1-2 connection with that one receiver. I want to say it's Devonta Smith, but I don't know. I need to see more of it yet. So Dallas Goedert ranked number 21 on the rankings here, and Zach Ertz at 31. And again, I got to go with KC. I think they're just a better team up and down. Both teams poor offensive lines, but hopefully one of those teams will turn out 1-2 into a 500 season, make their ability to get in the playoffs a lot easier. But starting out 1-2 is not good. I'm going with KC on the road.
Yeah, I got to go with Kansas City here on the road, too. Philadelphia just, not looking great unless they were playing Atlanta. So, we're looking at this. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hit the century mark here in the loss that they just had recently. And Darrell Williams still got a high snap count. If you're in a league, you got injuries, or it's a league of maybe 14 teams, 16 teams, and you need a lot of depth, then Darrell Williams could be a good flex for you. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is worth the play. Tyreek Hill is worth the play. Travis Kelce's worth the play. Pat Mahomes is worth the play. McCole Hardman, he got involved in the end zone here, but he is a wide receiver 4. He's a flex for you, in my opinion. On the other side of it for Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts can get you fantasy points, so he is worth the play. He's below Pat Mahomes, but still worth the play out there. Miles Sanders is worth the play as a running back 2. Kenneth Gainwell is a running back 3 for me. Another guy coming off of Memphis and being with Mike Norvell, so I like Kenneth Gainwell in this, but he's a running back 3. Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor, as Mike said, going down the list. I'm not really high on either one of these guys for this game. Kansas City doesn't have the great defense. Obviously, we know that they allow points. So, Devontae, I'm concerned because he's tiny. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a lot of bulk to him. So, Devontae Smith, for me, I would say probably a wide receiver 4 for you. I'd leave Reagor off. Dallas Goedert, I would say, is a tight end 2 in this matchup. Low end 1, high end tight end 2. Really, it's with Sanders, a little bit with Gainwell. Sanders and Hurts are the guys to play in this, but the majority of it goes to the Chiefs, so I'm picking the Chiefs as well, despite the fact that they're on the road. That doesn't really matter to me in this one. Mike, next game, Arizona at the Rams. Arizona coming off of a win over the Jaguars that the Jags thought they had, 31-19. And the Rams, as I said going into the season, might be Matt Stafford's best chapter of football in the NFL. And boy, does he look good right now leading this Rams team. What do you got?
Yeah, I like Matt Stafford. I think they got a lot of weapons there, and Matt Stafford is definitely the answer for them above Jared Goff. Matt Stafford, number 10 on my ranking this week, and Kyler Murray. I would like to think that Matt Stafford would be able to win this game because they're playing well, 2 3-0 teams here. But Kyler Murray's playing MVP type ball, making things happen. So I like Kyler Murray. He's number 3 on the rankings this week. Looking at the running back situations, look different. Chase Edmonds at 11. I'm hoping he has a better week this week. And, on the other side of the ball, Darrell Henderson's going to make it back. I really feel this week. I got him at 22. I think they're a better team when Henderson's on the field. Looking at the receivers, man, Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp got something going on. Robert Woods, not so much. And I thought Robert Woods was the better of the 2 receivers there. Cooper Kupp, number 2 on the rankings. Robert Woods, number 24 this week. And looking at at Cardinals, of course, D-Hop. Disappointing week. I think he's hurt. He has chest pains. Maybe he was out there as a decoy, but I think he could have cost his team. I mean, maybe they could have put A.J. Brown or Christian Kirk or Andy Isabella in the game. It was just times it looked like he was lumbering. It looks like he was having breathing problems, and maybe they knew that. Maybe it was a decoy. Hopefully he's on the mend. I got D-Hop at 13 this week, and, I don't know of any other receiver on Arizona that I can play in fantasy right now. I mean, I have to go way down on the list to the 50s for Christian Kirk and A.J. Green. Looking at the tight end position, well, on the Rams, Tyler Higbee's been making it happen. He's number 10. He's a low-end tight end 1. And for Arizona, well, not so much. So we're going to move on. Seriously, Max Williams, 26. That guy's not even on my roster. I'm going to take the Rams at home to beat the Cardinals. Look for Jalen Ramsey to be very important in this game out of that star position.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here. This is a good game. I think 2 teams that could be contenders in this. I like Arizona, although they didn't play a fantastic game against the Jaguars. They played well enough. And I got to tell you, Papa Joe said this yesterday on the show too. Kyler Murray is making me a believer, more and more of a believer. So I like Kyler Murray in this. As much as Chase Edmonds is the starting running back here, he had 75 yards on the ground, but like I said, James Conner got the action. They're both worth utilizing. Conner is I would say they're both, I would say maybe Chase is a little bit higher end running back 2, Conner a lower end running back 2, and maybe you put him in a flex, maybe you put him in a 3, but I like him. DeAndre Hopkins, yes. Christian Kirk is finally getting the action that I thought he would get the last season or 2. So I like Christian Kirk in this as a wide receiver 3. And So I would say Murray, Edmonds, Connor, Hopkins, Kirk. And then outside of that for the Rams, yet another week with a lot of receiver work and a lot of positives here. When they played this past week against Tampa, I said there's a lot of value on both sides at receiver. I feel the same way this week. Matt Stafford worth the play, as this is a big divisional game. I like Murray over Stafford as far as a QB1. And then Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, I do like them both. I agree with you, Mike. I like Robert Woods. I thought Robert Woods more so was the guy to have, but Cooper Kupp, every quarterback has their guy. I tell you all that every single season. Every quarterback has their guy. Like, who's Colin Johnson on Jacksonville? Well, Mike Lennon's the third-string quarterback. He comes out. Who is he practicing with? Well, if he's practicing with Colin Johnson and he's got a good relationship with him, that's why Colin's getting more yardage and more targets than DJ Chark, because he knows him better. So just understand that right now the relationship with Stafford and Cooper Kupp's working, but Stafford could shift to Robert Woods. We could see something like that happen, open things up a little bit. Van Jefferson, I think, is a wide receiver 4. I still like Woods, but I'd say a wide receiver 2, Kupp a wide receiver 1. Higbee, I like him as a tight end 1 in this, maybe a lower end. And I'm not really sold on Sony Michel. He doesn't do anything to really excite me. And Darrell Henderson, if he plays, I think you could put him out there as a lower-end running back too. But really, Stafford, Kupp, Woods, Higbee is who I like in this one. And a lot of value with Arizona. So this is a very hard one for me to pick because of all the value that's on both sides. But the Cardinals, to me, did not show me a lot against the Jaguars, and the Jaguars haven't been able to figure it out. So I'm going to say that because of what I saw firsthand, I'm going to give the edge to the Rams because I'm not really sold on the Cardinals being a great team right now. Josh said to us, Robert Tonyan is my tight end in my 14-person league. Going to pick up another tight end. Choose between Dalton Schultz, Tyler Conklin, or Dawson Knox. I got 2 thoughts on this one, Mike. What do you got?
It's a coin flip between Conklin and Knox for me because I don't think Dalton Schultz, you can count on that type of performance week in, week out. You got to wonder if Blake Jarwin's able to come back and challenge that. And there's just a lot of weapons on that team. Minnesota plays well, and they got a ball distributor at quarterback. So I like Tyler Conklin. I like the upside. And Dawson Knox is in a highly productive offense with an MVP caliber quarterback in Josh Allen. So that's almost a coin flip between those two. I think I would go ahead and take Conklin at this point between the two, just edging out Dawson Knox, just because Conklin looks like he's on the upside there. They got Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. He seems to be the third option, although it seems to rotate with Conklin and then KJ Osborne one week. So, you got to have your ebbs and flows there. You got to have your ups and downs. But if you're in a 14 or 16 team league and that's your backup tight end, that those guys are good to have as a backup tight end.
Yeah, I'm going to go a different way with this, and I'm going to have to say, for me, it would be Dalton Schultz because he's shown me a lot recently here. Okay, this is how I look at it. Schultz and Knox are 2 guys I wasn't sold on in fantasy at all going into the season. Schultz getting more involved in the offense, but they have a lot of guys. Conklin, put it this way, any one of these 3 tight ends, they're in an offense that has multiple capable wide receivers. It's a crowded receiving core, no matter who you look at. But Knox has impressed me. Schultz has impressed me, but not as much. So if I had to choose, it would be Knox or Schultz. I would give, right now, in this moment, because I want to see more from Schultz, I would give a slight edge to Knox. So Mike said Knox or Conklin. I said Knox or Schultz. The common denominator is Knox. So it's up to you, Josh. But I think Dawson Knox, for me, is going to get a little bit more of an edge than I would give to Dalton Schultz at this point. Conklin I need to see more of in order to make a determination. And Mike and I both picked the Rams in the last game. Seattle at San Francisco, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, it's an interesting game, but there's an interesting anomaly here because the quarterback situation in San Fran, and what a luxury it is to be able to play both quarterbacks and be able to phase Trey Lance in. But I do want to bring up 2 things here. The North Dakota State guy, the number 3 pick in the draft, he's played basically he's played a handful of snaps, 7 snaps so far, but his one pass attempt is a touchdown and his one rushing attempt is a touchdown. They just bring him in. He's like the goal line guy. So if you're in a touchdown situation, that's a guy you can get on the cheap probably daily. I don't know if I can count on that guy to put up the numbers because Garoppolo's there. And I got Garoppolo doing most of the heavy lifting at 15 on the rankings this week. And on the other side of the ball, Russell Wilson, of course, is always a top 10. He's number 8 this week. And this is always a great game, the Seahawks and the 49ers. Looking at the running backs, you got to go Chris Carson. He's having a great year this year. Number 9. Hope he can stay healthy and continue this high production. Number 9 on the rankings again. Been an RB1 all year so far. San Fran has had the rotation going. Guys getting dinged up, and at one point this past week, I didn't know who was going to be the running back because Trey Sermon was still in the concussion protocol. Trey Sermon able to make an appearance last week, so I think Elijah Mitchell may be back this week, but I'm going to go Trey Sermon, but he's the highest ranked San Fran running back at 35 on my rankings. And looking at the wide receivers, Seattle's got the luxury. They got an excellent 1-2 punch. Again, another great 1-2 combination at receiver in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I have Tyler Lockett at 10. And the ball, Deebo Samuel, bright spot. He's the consistent guy. He's number 7 on the rankings. I can't really depend on Brandon Ayuk or anybody else over there just yet. And looking at the tight ends, of course, George Kittle's the man for San Fran. I got to go a lot further down on the list for Gerald Everett. Not so hot on him this week especially, but Gerald Everett's the guy for Seattle, but he's number 18 on my ranking this week. So hopefully you're not in a position where you have to start him. But if you do, he'll probably get maybe 50 yards and a touchdown maybe. So looking at this game, Seattle going to San Fran. Geez, I want to take Seattle, but I don't think their defense is strong enough, especially in the secondary. So I'm going to go San Fran in this one at home.
All right. Mike says the Niners in this matchup. And I will give mine as we go through this. But Seattle, Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, all worth the play. I don't need to tell you that. On the other side of it for San Francisco, like Mike said, Trey Lance, they bring him in, and he's like the golden boy. Everything he touches turns to gold. So a lot of good stuff coming through for him. Trey Sermon, the rookie out of Ohio State, looks like he's going to be the guy out there. Jaquez Patrick, who I covered when he was coming into college football and going to Florida State. Jaquez Patrick coming from Orlando. He is moving for. I think he was at Timber Creek. He is on the roster now for this team that has a bunch of injuries. Jeff Wilson, JaMychal Hasty, Raheem Mostert, and Elijah Mitchell all on the injury report. So Trey Sermon could be a nice little improvement potentially to this. I think Trey eventually is going to take over. I drafted him in some of my leagues as my 5th or 6th running back. So Trey could be a little sneaky flex for you this week. Deebo, I would say, is a wide receiver 2, low end 2, high end 3 this week. George Kittle is hurt, but if George Kittle is able to play, then it's hard to keep him out there. He has a calf injury right now. So prayers to everybody that's injured for a healthy and complete recovery, definitely for George Kittle as well. So I think more value lies on Seattle. I think Trey Lance might score this week, so if you have the team quarterback with Jimmy and Trey, like we have in the Wake Up Call Fantasy Leagues, you have San Francisco quarterback instead of individual, then that could work out for you. But I think Sermon would be a sneaky flex for you. Deebo, potentially worth putting out there. George Kittle, if he's healthy. But the value for me lies more so with Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. I'm going to go with Seattle in this matchup to win this game. So I'm going Seattle's way. And Mike, next game we have up, Baltimore at Denver. We got Lamar Jackson going up against Teddy Bridgewater. Denver's firing, and Baltimore is finding ways to stay alive. What do you have for this?
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Ravens 2-1 visiting the 3-0 Broncos. What a difference a quarterback makes. Teddy Bridgewater not making a lot of mistakes. He seems to be effective at managing the game here, and he has 827 yards and 4 touchdowns on the year so far. So he's doing something right. Now, on the other side of the ball is the quarterback everybody covets. Number 4 on the rankings this week, Lamar Jackson. I got Teddy Bridgewater at 18. Lamar Jackson, he's like a running back and a quarterback built into one person. To the running backs, though, I got to go all the way down to number 40 on for Tyson Williams. Meanwhile, we got the poor man's Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt here in Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. They're trying to make that impact on their team as well. I got 34 is the ranking for Javonte Williams, and 26 is where Melvin Gordon lies this week. Looking at the wide receivers, the only guy on Baltimore that I can play is Marquise Brown. He's due to have one or two big plays, big touchdowns, although it seemed like he dropped 2 or 3 touchdowns this past week. And, of course, everybody's going to blame Lamar Jackson for those. But if it hits your hands, you got to make the catch. So looking at Denver, the number 1 receiver over there is Cortland Sutton right now with Jerry Jeudy being gone. Cortland Sutton checking in at 20 on my rankings. And then Tim Patrick is a value play for you. He's number 40 on the rankings, but he may have an impact. It's just Baltimore's defense can be sticky, especially in the secondary. And looking at the tight ends, Mark Andrews is the best tight end on the field. He's number 6 on the rankings, but Noah Fant's not far from him, and he's number 8 on the rankings this week. Looking at this game, this is a coin flip type game, but when you win a game on a 66-yard field goal in a game that you should have lost against a bad team, things are going right for you. So I'm going to go with Baltimore on the road to sneak one out over the Broncos.
Yeah, this is another marquee game. There's like Carolina and Dallas. I'm really excited to watch the Ravens and Broncos this week. I think the fantasy value is all over the place. I just want Teddy Bridgewater to be successful. You know, I remember when Louisville was undefeated and they came into the Dome and Syracuse beat them, and that was such a huge game. And Teddy had a lot of respect for when he was on the Louisville Cardinals. And then, you know, he comes in, he goes to Minnesota, he gets hurt, I think, with his ACL immediately. And when that happens, you know, he kind of falls out of favor. He bounces all over the place. He ends up in New Orleans, and he's supposed to go in there and, you know, they're probably thinking, oh, maybe he'll have a losing record, maybe he'll have a 500 record. I think he went like 7-1, and by the time Drew Brees came back, they were set for the playoffs and ready to go. He saved their season, salvaged their season, and after doing that, he gets the job at Carolina. They don't even give him 365 days, and now he's off in Denver. He's got the Denver Broncos at 3-0 right now, which is huge, and the Baltimore Ravens at 2-1. So, you know, I like what Teddy's doing. I am a fan, and I've been a fan. I'm also a fan of Lamar Jackson. You know what I love about this game is it's 2 former Louisville quarterbacks playing each other, Lamar versus Teddy. Great Louisville Super Bowl, so to speak, here in this matchup. So I like Lamar in the game. Tyson Williams coming from UCF. You got to play this guy. This guy is good. A little sneaky guy to put out there. A flex guy, a low-end running back too. I like him in this matchup. Sammy Watkins has moved his way to number 1 on the depth chart for Baltimore. I would say temper your expectations. He's a wide receiver 3. Marquise Hollywood Brown, a wide receiver 3. Maybe a low-end 2. Mark Andrews is worth the play. On the other side of it for Denver, Teddy Bridgewater, I like him in this game, but he's a quarterback 2 for me in this matchup. Melvin Gordon still involved with Javonte Williams. I told you he's going to take over. Came out of the gate with more carries in his first game as a rookie in week 1 in his debut. I like Javonte in this matchup. Melvin Gordon as a backup to that. Maybe a good handcuff. I also mentioned to you guys about Tim Patrick because he showed up last year when Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy were both injured. And he's showing up again. I think Sutton and Patrick are worth the play. And I like Noah Fant, who's finally starting to show up as well. So this is a really, really difficult game for me to choose. And I don't know how the heck I'm going to how I'm going to do this, but this is hard. This is very, very hard. But I'm going to have to say the Ravens in this one, even though I think the Broncos could very well win this game. I'm going to have to agree with Mike. Things have been rolling in the way of the Baltimore Ravens. But I mean, when you get a doink and a bounce and a rollover for Justin Tucker, my favorite kicker in the league of many years, when a 66-yarder bounces in, and we all know what happened with the 68-yarder that was too short, which Jamal Agnew of the Jaguars returned back for a touchdown to beat the halftime clock. You know, Tuck's got things going for him. Baltimore's got things going for him, and I think Baltimore in recent history had another one of those moments too, with a goal post and it going in their favor. So I'm going to go with the Ravens as it seems like things are working out on their side, but I think Denver very well can win this game. Now, Josh said it's the same receivers I mentioned above. He has A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, and the ones he would consider, but not a one-for-one trade. He said, is it worth trading for TJ Hawkinson when he has Rob Gronkowski?
No. I think Rob Gronkowski's going to sneak up this week on a revenge game. I got him number 5 this week. So I think Brady likes the familiar, that familiar guy, the little thing. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago where there was a goal line play and they didn't even look at each other and they knew the adjustment that had to be made based on the defensive alignment. It turned out to be a touchdown. It wasn't even the right play. So you can't, that chemistry from winning and from being there and the timing and all that stuff, you get 2 pros like that. No, I would stick with what I got. I like Hawkinson a lot. I think he's a big bright spot there in Detroit, but not this week. Let's talk next week. I think Gronk's going to have a big game, and so is Brady this week.
Well, yeah, and I think Gronk, he had to get comfortable again. And not necessarily that he had to get to know Tom Brady, but he had to get comfortable with the game again because he had been out for a bit. And once he got comfortable, it didn't help fantasy owners because when fantasy playoffs were off because they happened in the regular season, in real playoff time, he was playing well. Toward the end of the season and definitely in the playoffs, he was playing very well because he got more acclimated, got more comfortable, and we saw the Gronk that we're used to seeing. And I said, wow, well, this doesn't help fantasy owners now, but it can help them this season in 2021, 2022, which it has been. So Gronk, playing your cards right, you're not going to have to worry about moving him off your starters really at all for the majority of the season. So I'd stick with that. Mike, before we take our final step aside here inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, in the Home Depot Plaza. 7 days a week, open for all the games with the NFL ticket, and of course college football, Major League Baseball playoffs coming up, and so much more. And you can get them for takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. Before we take a step aside, Pittsburgh, a team that is not doing well offensively, and Green Bay, a team that's trying to bounce back from a poor offensive outing to start the year. What do you think about the Steelers at the Packers?
Are you familiar with this Old Yeller story? I ask because there might be kids out there who haven't seen this old, movie from back in the day. Did you ever see that movie, Old Yeller?
Yeah, I know about Old Yeller, yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure. I'm just establishing that. If you're listening to this, you have no idea what I'm talking about, just Google it. There's a scene in the movie, it's heartbreaking, where the boy needs to take out his aging dog and shoot him because, well, that's what you do. You put the dog down when they, you put them out of their misery sometimes. We have a more humane way of doing it nowadays, but, that's what happened. Somebody needs to take the burger out and shoot him. It's over. It's done. Remember a couple years ago where he said, "Oh, now," and because he looks horrible, stumbling, fumbling, rumbling, throwing interception. Yeah, this is not a good quarterback right now. I got him number 29 on the rankings. Meanwhile, you go the opposite end for the Green Bay quarterback, of course, Aaron Rodgers. He's number 12 on the rankings. I think the Pittsburgh defense can get after him a little bit, the defensive line that is. Looking at the running back situation, this is where some money is for both teams. Aaron Jones, number 4 this week, and Najee Harris, number 6 this week. I think both guys are going to have good weeks. And looking at the wide receivers, Devontae Adams is way up there, number 1 on the list for us this week. And looking at Pittsburgh's receivers, I have to go to the 30s. And I'm not sold it's their fault. Maybe Ben got Deontay Johnson hurt because he's not making the throws right. Maybe he can't hit the back shoulder. Heck, I don't even think he can see a receiver. He looks like a junior high school quarterback playing in the state championship for high school. I got Chase Claypool at number 31 on the rankings, Juju at 34. So the downgrade is Ben, though. It's not those athletes, but maybe they need to sign Cam. Maybe they need to do something different. Mix it up, because I know Mason Rudolph or Hobbs aren't going to take over for him. But it's just bad. It's bad to look at. I can't watch that. I want to see Green Bay, but I really don't want to watch the Steelers. So every time the Steelers have the ball, I guess I got to flip away. And I'm looking at the tight ends here. We talked about Robert Tonyan briefly before, number 19 on the ranking there. And I can't really go anywhere with Eric Ebron or Pat Freiermuth. These guys are spotty at best right now. And again, it's because of Ben. So I'm going to take Green Bay to win this game at home big time.
Yeah, I don't know how you can't I mean, the Steelers just look awful right now. And, Big Ben, again, as you brought up, Mike, he was talking about retirement, 2, 3 seasons ago, and people were like, oh my God, no, it's too soon. We can't lose him. How can we lose him? He's our golden boy. We can't do anything. And the offense is going to be able to run without him. And now you fast forward and you think to yourself, maybe at this point, he thought about it too early, and now he's in a position where it's too late. So, and then on the other side, you got 38-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who is, in his mind, I think, and I don't know what he's thinking, but when I look at Aaron Rodgers, I see a 38-year-old who's going, I got another 4 seasons to play, but I'm going to play somewhere else. So it's too different. It's the juxtaposition of a guy who's maybe waited too long to, like, he was going to say goodbye and then he didn't, and then now maybe it's past time for him to do it, and maybe he's realizing, okay, you know what, it's just not working out anymore. Where Aaron Rodgers is going, hey, I can't wait to get the hell out of Dodge and go somewhere else and play the next 4 years of my career. So obviously, Najee Harris, everybody's been affected by this. Juju, Deontay, Chase Claypool, everyone's been affected by this. Juju is hurt with a rib injury. He's questionable. Knee injury for Deontay Johnson. Really, Najee is a flex running back. I don't trust any other wide receivers. I don't trust anybody in the offense right now besides Najee, and that's only because he's a running back. And Ben doesn't have to complete a pass to him. He just has to hand him the ball, which I don't even know if I trust Ben to do that now. But if I'm going to trust him to do anything, it's going to be to hand the ball off. I don't trust any of the receiving game right now, and like Mike said, it's not because of the receivers. It's not because of the tight ends. It's because of Big Ben. So the other side, Aaron Rodgers, yes. Aaron Jones, yes. Devontae Adams, yes. A.J. Dillon has had a minimal role, so I'd probably keep him off here. Alan Lazard, limited to only 1 reception recently here, and that could have to do with Randall Cobb coming back. But Randall Cobb hasn't done a lot, so it's really Devontae Adams. So Tanyan, Adams, Jones, Rodgers, play him, and go. I'm going with the Packers in this one as well. I don't know how Mike or I could choose. It doesn't matter who they play right now, except for maybe the Jets. But even then, maybe be a little nervous. We do have a mention here before we go to our final step aside, Mike, in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and MixLR, as well as on wakeupcalldt.com. So make sure you click on all those links, folks, and bookmark it for next week so you got it. You can follow us on all of these wonderful channels: Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and TuneIn by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And you're live with us, so make sure you lock these in for next Wednesday and all throughout the week, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com. We have a question coming in that we'll take before we take a break. Rolando said, which defense should I play? Denver versus the Ravens? No. Saints versus the Giants? Maybe. Titans versus the Jets? I would say yes. Bills versus Houston? Mike? This is good here. Which defense should I play? So Denver, Ravens, Saints versus the Giants, Titans versus the Jets, or Bills versus the Texans?
Well, I'll tell you where I got those. I got Denver at 16 versus the Ravens, so no, they're out. I got New Orleans at 7. But I have Tennessee and Buffalo ranked even higher. Buffalo ranked number 1 this week against Houston, and Tennessee ranked number 3 this week against the Jets. So I would take Buffalo over Tennessee, of course, based on my rankings. But either Tennessee or Buffalo, you're going to have a good week, I think.
Yeah, so Mike says Bills defense with Titans close. And Orlando, I would say... For mine, I would probably say I would give the Titans the edge. So I'd say Titans defense, then Bills defense for sure. But you having either one of those options puts you in great footing this week. Boss Man sent us one too. Should I trade David Montgomery and T.J. Hawkinson for Leonard Fournette, Tyler Higbee, and Julio Jones? Who wins in that? So should he trade David Montgomery and T.J. Hawkinson for Leonard Fournette, Tyler Higbee, and Julio Jones?
I think it depends on how bad you need Julio Jones, because I'm not real excited about him, but he could have a breakout week this week with A.J. Brown being dinged up. So if you need a receiver, that might not be a bad trade, but I would keep what I have. I don't like unbalanced trades on either side, because unless I'm thinking about cutting a guy that I could throw into the trade to make it happen, because what you're going to do is you're going to get three guys for your two, and you're going to think you got great value, but now you got to cut somebody else usually, so I don't, without knowing 100% of the roster and all that stuff, I would sit pat, but it's not a bad thing depending on who your receivers are.
Yeah, he said he has Deontay Johnson, Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper.
Well, Deontay Johnson's dinged up, and I like Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper. And if you can start three, I may be able to see that. But I think you can get, the same value elsewhere instead of Julio Jones. So, again, I would probably sit with what I have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess looking at this, I like Tyler Higbee more than Hawkinson, and Fournette's not a bad play either. But Julio's dinged up. So I would say... This is what I would say to you, boss man. I would say sit on it for now, but watch after this week. That's what I would say. I would say don't pull the trigger yet. It's not a bad trade, but I would say don't pull the trigger yet, is how I would look at it. Mike and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back with Sunday and Monday Night Football right after this, where sports meets life. You are inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, open 7 days a week for all the games and more. And, of course, you can get takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for those of you living in central and upstate New York. And, of course, we're inside of the Cafe Kubal Travel Studios as we're down here in the Sunshine State of Florida. We'll be back right after this fast break with Sunday and Monday Night Football and to answer any one of your questions. So if you're listening, you're watching, and you have a question to ask, now is the time to do it on our live feed on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on Wake Up Call's YouTube channel, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway. PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be hanging out with you inside of the Travel Cafe Kubal Studios. Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. And you can also find them inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse. And, of course, on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and their newest location and first ever drive-through location, which is there for you on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse, New York, a.k.a. Sweetheart Corners. We are inside of the extended Fantasy Football Power Hour here with Mr. Mike Sofka, and we have 2 more games to go in Week 4 of your Fantasy Football Advice, answering your questions live as it happens. And if you're watching this show on playback, you can ask your questions here and send them to us on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT on this actual video feed, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT on the video feed, and we'll be happy to answer. So if you get your questions in after the video is live, we can, of course, answer them too by seeing them in the comments, and we'll be able to do that. So make sure you send those to us, and, of course, subscribe to us on YouTube's channel, Wake Up Call DT. And find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. With that being said, Mike Sofka is here with us to finish things up from Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. Big time game, Mike. And, we talk about people asking, should I play Gronk this week? Well, Gronk and Tom are not only playing New England, they're going back to Foxborough. This is Brady versus Belichick. This is I won a Super Bowl versus I didn't go to the playoffs. This is your ex-girlfriend feeling scorned versus the man who just not only got married but got a real nice ring with it. What do you think about the Bucs at the Patriots?
Yeah, I look at Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady's he was a man for many years for the Patriots, and he hardly lost 2 in a row when he was with the Patriots. And, well, last year the Bucs went 4-1 after their 5 losses, with Brady throwing 11 touchdowns. So, if I had to pick, between Brady and Belichick, I'm going to take Brady every time, because I think Brady is, the player is the guy who creates those wins, and Tom Brady is definitely, it took me a long time to admit it, but Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time. He's got the hardware to prove it. So, a lot of older people go, "Oh no, Montana." Oh, that no. I mean, look at the results. So, I definitely am high on the Bucks this week. I think they're going to play well. Tom Brady, number 7 on the case, but I got to go all the way down to the bottom for Mac Jones. Mac Jones, the rookie. They're going to dial up a lot of pressure for him, and the Bucks have that defensive line that can impose themselves on an opposing quarterback, especially a rookie. So it's going to be hard for him to adjust to that. I think it's going to be the biggest part of the game. Going over to running back, I got Leonard Fournette in the 20s, and I got Damian Harris right next to him. So Damian Harris is at 27 this week. Leonard Fournette's at 28. And, I want to say something about Giovanni Bernard. Looked good in the game, and when the Bucks were behind, and Giovanni Bernard was the guy to be on the field. He's got a problem with his MCL. Not sure he's going to make the game, but that's a name that you want to keep in the back of your head in a PPR league for a roster spot deep on your bench in a bigger league is Giovanni Bernard, because I think he could pull something out for you some week. Get him while you can. I think a lot of people are going to be shy on him because of the injury. See what the injury is, and if it's not, he's not going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, go ahead and pick him up. Looking at the wide receivers, though, Tampa's got that 1-2 punch. Tampa's got the 1-2 punch that everybody wishes they had. Well, a lot of teams. There are a few teams with a good 1-2 punch. But Mike Evans is at 28 this week. Chris Godwin's at 27. I got to go way down. I got to go to 36 for Jacoby Myers. Kendrick Bourne looked all right. Nelson Aguilar in the 40s. Kendrick Bourne in the 60s. I can't count on any of these guys. And to make matters worse, I can't count on the tight ends there either. They brought in 2 tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's been dinged up, but they just haven't been able to get these guys the ball. Those reads, but they're hindered right now. They're 20 and 22 on the rankings this week. Meanwhile, Gronk is number 5 this week. I think Brady and Gronk are going to both show out in the revenge game, and I'm going to take Tampa on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bucks on the road in this one as well. Again, if I have to choose between the two of them, then I'm choosing Brady over Belichick, and obviously, why? They won a Super Bowl. I mean, for goodness sakes, he did it. He already did it without Belichick, and Belichick didn't even make the playoffs. So I got to go with with Brady on this one. And Mike, I was like you. It took me forever to call Brady the GOAT. I don't think he's necessarily the greatest passer of all time, but he is the greatest quarterback in NFL history. It took me a while to say it, but after he did what he did with the Bucks, the NFC South Division at one point had 3 out of 4 teams make the playoffs. The only team that was out were the Bucks. 4-win team, just irrelevant. The Falcons were relevant, the Panthers were relevant, the Saints were relevant, and the Bucks were the only team that weren't. He comes into a 2 to 4-win team, 6-win team, and turns him into a Super Bowl champion in his first season at the age of 44. What else can you... At this point, that's the thing that did it for me. We got a bunch of questions that have come in, but I'll give my analysis, and then we'll get to those questions here. Tom Brady worth the play in this. Tom Brady has done a lot of good for me over the last 2 years. The funny thing is he won a bunch of Super Bowls, but he wasn't a great fantasy quarterback. Last couple of years, he's been a really good fantasy quarterback. I like him ever since he went to Tampa, and what did I tell you? He arguably, despite all the Super Bowls he won with the Patriots, this is probably the best receiving core he's ever had. So I like Tom Brady. I like Leonard Fournette in the game. He's a running back too. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Antonio Brown is injured, but he's a good flex if he is healthy. He's on injury reserve with COVID-19 stuff, so you got to watch that. Jadon Mickens is questionable too with an abdomen injury, and he's definitely been very helpful with them, and I met him in Jacksonville. Tremendous player. Slept in his car because he didn't know if he was going to make the team on the practice squad, and then he comes and wins the Super Bowl at Tampa, and then this year they keep him on the 53-man roster, and now he's becoming a household name because of how well he returns the ball in special teams. So if Gronk's able to go, you play Gronk. If not, then O.J. Howard, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette. On the other side of it for the Patriots, Mac Jones, I'd leave him off. Damian Harris, low-key flex for me. Really, I don't like anybody in fantasy when it comes to the Patriots besides Damian Harris. So and James White's banged up. So really, the value's on Tampa's side. I think it'll be a better game than it is in fantasy, but in fantasy, you lean on the Bucks and you go with Tampa Bay in this one. We got a bunch of questions coming in. Tony, we'll get to your question here in a second. I want to go in order of the questions that we had here. So Bossman said, who's a better option for the rest of the season? Brian Edwards, wide receiver of the Raiders, or Zach Pascal, wide receiver of the Colts?
Yeah, that goes as far as Wentz goes, and I would guess Brian Edwards because I'm not sold on Wentz. I know he's dinged up, but he's always been dinged up, and I don't know what I'm getting there. I know what I'm getting in Derek Carr, and they're on the way up. I think there's more upside in Edwards.
I say the exact same thing for the exact same reason. I don't trust what's going on with Carson Wentz, which affects Zach Pascal, and you know what you're getting with Derek Carr, and God willing, and he'll continue to be healthy. Both of them will, but he's definitely been healthier than Wentz, and so I feel better about that. It's a safer bet for me, so I agree with Mike for the same reasons. We got another question came in. Odell, Julio Jones, Chris Carson, T. Higgins. Start two in a PPR. Who do we start?
Well, I got Odell at 23 on the rankings. Give me the other names real quick.
Odell, Julio Jones, Chris Carson, T. Higgins.
Yeah, Chris Carson and Odell. T. Higgins is dinged up, and those are the two best guys, Carson and Odell.
So Mike says in this Chris Carson and Odell in this situation. I know that Higgins is banged up here, and Julio is too. So I'm going to have to agree with Mike. So I'll agree with Mike on this only because of that. But if Higgins goes, then I would say Higgins over Odell. So if Higgins plays, so just watch that, I would say him over Odell. But because of the injury report, I'll stick with that. But I would have picked Chris Carson either way. Another question that came in, Higgins, Corey Davis, Hunter Renfrow, Tim Patrick, Robbie Anderson, and a flex PPR. Which one of those would we choose?
Wow, give me those names one more time.
T. Higgins, Corey Davis, Hunter Renfrow, Tim Patrick, or Robbie Anderson?
I go with Tim Patrick. I mean, I think he's got more opportunity with Jerry Jeudy being out. So I think the better number of targets are going to go Tim Patrick's way.
And I would say that too because the guy is banged up and because I've been telling you about Tim Patrick since last year a little bit and definitely this year. I would say Tim Patrick in this situation. Another question that came in, I have Antonio Gibson and DeAndre Swift in running back spots, Ridley and DJ Moore in wide receiver spots, Miles Sanders in flex. Should I start DJ Chark and move Sanders out?
I would keep Sanders in, even though they don't have a good offensive line. I think by sheer volume, and I'm not sure that DJ Chark is able to hook up with Trevor Lawrence yet. I'm not sure about that relationship. So definitely go with Sanders.
Yeah, Chark is too big of a question mark. So I would say the same thing. I would say keep what you got. Don't put DJ Chark in there, in my opinion. Bossman said, yeah, I got to agree. If those two Edwards touchdowns counted, he would have been. So that's to go back to our Brian Edwards comment. So that's to answer all of your questions there. And we have another question that came in. Tony, we want to get to your question. He says, Antonio Gibson or James Robinson for flex. This is a tough one. What do you think, Mike?
No, it's not tough. It's Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson's number 7 on my rankings, and I got James Robinson at 17. So, that's RB1 versus RB2 there.
Yeah, I mean, this is hard for me because James Robinson, you got him ranked, obviously the way you got him ranked, but James Robinson has been very effective. He's been the only thing effective at times, so it's hard for me to pick against him. Tony, I'd love to hear who the rest of your running backs are, but Antonio Gibson is also playing the Falcons. So I'm going to agree with Mike on this, but I want to know who your other running backs are because I'd love for you to be able to play Antonio Gibson and James Robinson. I'll give the slight edge to Antonio Gibson, but I really like James Robinson. So the number one waiver pickup is what Bossman said about Brian Edwards at this point. And
no, Chuba Hubbard's the number one.
Yeah, so maybe he's saying wide receiver. I don't know. But
Okay.
but yeah, Chuba Hubbard, I already had him on my team because I was anticipating Christian McCaffrey would not be 100%. So I don't have to worry about picking him up. Next one here, Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers, final game of the day. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I like Justin Herbert. I mean, the Chargers are one of the best teams right now, just up and down both sides of the ball. I like what the Chargers are doing. Justin Herbert ranked number 6 on the rankings. Derek Carr, number 11 this week. It is going to be somewhat of a shootout, so expect some fantasy points here. And when you have fantasy points, the first guys you look at normally are the running backs. And Austin Eckler, number 3 on the rankings against the Raiders this week. I'm excited to see him play. Meanwhile, I got to go way down on the list. Josh Jacobs still dinged up. Don't think he's going to make the game. Kenyon Drake is the guy they're going to lean on, although Peyton Barber looked real good last week. I got Kenyon Drake at 31, Peyton Barber at 41. And on the wide receiver end here, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are a great 1-2 punch. I got Mike Williams at 12. I got Keenan Allen at 8. And as far as Las Vegas goes, those guys are a little further down because I'm not sure which guy is going to step up. I think the guy with the most upside, who surprisingly might be out there on your waiver wire, is Henry Ruggs. Look for that to continue to develop. Remember, Henry Ruggs was a rookie last year. It was a COVID year. They didn't get this, and it normally takes 3 years for a receiver to acclimate. But now in this hurry-up society where we're standing in front of the microwave saying, hurry up, sometimes you got to have a little patience. I think Henry Ruggs is going to make something happen soon. I think he has the better upside of the receivers. Henry Ruggs at 45 this week, Hunter Renfrow at 53, Brian Edwards at 60 this week. And, of course, tight ends on both sides of the ball are going to be a big time in this game. They're both going to score some points. But Jared Cook's going to be the touchdown-dependent red zone guy. Meanwhile, Darren Waller is who they run that Vegas offense through. So Darren Waller, number 2 on the rankings this week, and Jared Cook, number 11. I'm going to take the Chargers in this game at home.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one for sure. Mike says Chargers in this matchup, and my issue with this right now, Justin Herbert has a hand injury, so you got to watch that. Derek Carr for me in this matchup on Monday night, I would say he's a low-end QB1, high-end QB2 for fantasy for you. I don't like the running back situation right now. I do like Henry Ruggs as a wide receiver 4 flex, same as Brian Edwards. Darren Waller worth the play. I like Brian Edwards' upside, so I appreciate the question, boss man. But I agree that Henry Ruggs is going to trend up at some point. He's a guy that was left off of a bunch of the drafts that I was in. Didn't even make it in 18 rounds, and he's the number 1 wide receiver. You would think a number 1 on a team would get a nod, unless it's maybe the Jets. But Henry Ruggs, I do think he'll eventually come up here, so I agree with Mike on that. Justin Herbert, monitor him to make sure that he's good to go. Austin Eckler is worth the play. Larry Roundtree III was used limited. Justin Jackson only had 2 carries, so Austin Eckler is the guy to play. Keenan Allen as well. And then Jared Cook, I would say, is a low-end tight end 1, high-end 2. And Donald Parham was finally involved, but not enough. Had his first catch of 2021. So Jared Cook, lower end there. Really, it's Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler on that side. Herbert, if he's able to go. On the other side, it's Ruggs and Edwards as flex guys, and Darren Waller as a starter. Justin Herbert, with that hand injury, makes me concerned here. So I'm going to pick the Raiders as Mike picks the Chargers. I'm picking the road team. Mike's picking the home team. Your questions came in. If you have any other questions for us, please make sure to write to us on this video on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Just follow us there, right? Subscribe on YouTube, Wake Up Call DT's channel, so that you can find all of these videos. And obviously like our page on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. If you're just tuning in, set the dial, folks, for next week so you don't miss a moment and you can be with us the whole time. We answered a ton of your questions, but I'd love to answer more. So make sure you're with us every Wednesday from 9:45 a.m. to at least 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We always go over, but from 9:45 to 11 a.m. every Wednesday, set the dial, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as wakeupcalldt.com, so you don't miss a moment of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Open 7 days a week for you. And, of course, for takeout and delivery for them, you can call 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222. So be with us next week and don't miss a moment of the action. Mike, as always, I appreciate you very much so. I thank you for all you do at HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com, as well as our Winning Fantasy Football group on Facebook and your Winning Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. So any final words, my good sir?
I'm just interested in an exciting weekend of football, and you can always check out the weekly waiver wire videos. I put those up every Tuesday morning. You'll find those. You'll find those on the social media. You'll find those on the Winning Fantasy Football page. So, sometimes people have questions about who they should target. Somebody's hurt, what have you. So that's always a free service that I do every week. So you normally like a 3 to 5 minute video, no big deal. So you got time for that for sure. So I look forward to a great weekend of football. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'll talk with you soon.
All right, bye.
Take care. That coming from Mike Sofka once again. And I just want to let you all know, of course, you can, once you find the show live, you can always find us in our archives on Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podbean, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, and, of course, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. And a big thanks to all of our proud partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Progressive Dental, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. When you're watching these games, you need to have what did they say a long time ago? What did Terrell Owens say? Get your popcorn ready. So make sure any one of the 50 states you can order online and get 20% off if you use my code. Go to myandpaspopcorn.com, pick your favorite flavor, and use the promo code at checkout DT20. That's DT20 for 20% off at myandpaspopcorn.com. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Lemoyne College Dolphins, Avicoli's, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, and the Mill House Market. Big shout out and a thanks to Lemoyne for hour number 1 and having our Dolphin time every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, AD and DT in the first and third Wednesdays with Athletics Director of Lemoyne College, Bob Beretta. He'll be up with me to start off October next week. And Dolphin Dive every second and fourth Wednesday. Plenty coming up and some fantastic stories going to be told in October. And you heard from Emily Yancone today, and you can go back and watch that on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT for the Dolphin Dive. We appreciate you so much. And as always, folks, find out more at LeMoyneDolphins.com, and always fins up. With that being said, have a great day from the Travel Cafe Kubal Studios.